Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we find ourselves as marine biologists who are hired to provide assistance and planning an ecological coral reef for the conservation of marine life. You'll be creating an ecological mosaic, matching species, and completing missions. Eco Coral Reef is for 2 to 4 players, takes 30 to 60 minutes to play, is for ages 14 and up, and published by Unique Games. Today, we'll be doing a rule school. Well, I'll teach you how to set up and play the game so that you don't have to read the rulebook yourself. Now, I've placed timestamps below me in the description of this video, just in case you want to jump to a specific section of the rules. Let's get started. Eco Coral Reef is a tile-laying game for 2 to 4 players where you're marine biologists creating an ecological coral reef for the conservation of marine life. You'll be creating that coral reef by placing tiles and gaining points for matching coral, and additionally even more if you complete a coral of a type. You'll be drafting tiles that you'll be adding to the game map, but also mission tiles that will score you points. And you'll be placing tiles of the same type, trying to fulfill those missions for points. You can do it even easier, but it'll be worth a little less points. You also have the flexibility of fulfilling that mission with all different types of tiles, like of 2, 5, 4, and 3 different creatures, but following that same formation. You can even accomplish missions by looking at corners of squares and rectangles of the same type. So let's see if you have what it takes to score the most points while creating that ecological coral reef. To set up, you're first going to separate out the tiles into 2 types. The blue ones are picture tiles and the yellow ones are mission tiles. From the blue picture tiles, you're going to find a single creature tile. It can be any single creature tile, but as you can see, this just has 1 creature on that tile. After that, you'll make sure that you have 3 face-up picture tiles and 2 face-up mission tiles. Now, I've placed these in different stacks like this. Think of them as each of them as one big supply. There's a supply of blue picture tiles and a supply of yellow mission tiles, but I've separated them out just to make it a little easier to manage. Then each player will randomly get 2 picture tiles from the face-down stacks, and they will place those face-up in front of them. Tiles in front of you are always face-up throughout the game. The object of the game is to score the most points, and you'll mainly be scoring points by placing tiles, matching coral, and completing missions. The game is played over multiple rounds. Each round, each player will take a turn in clockwise order. The start player of the game will be the one that most recently visited the ocean. You'll give them this first player token to let everyone know they're the first player for the entire game. Normally on your turn, you're going to get 3 actions. Now, on the first turn of the game only, that player will actually get 1 additional action for a total of 4. But every other player, and even this player on subsequent turns, typically just going to take 3 actions. Now, you have 2 choices, so let's go over those one at a time. So let's show you one of the possible choices is to place one of the tiles that you have in front of you, these picture tiles, onto the game map. Now remember, the game starts with a single creature tile in the middle of the game map, and so when you place a tile, it always has to go adjacent to another tile that's out on the game map, meaning you can't just place it out here in the middle of nowhere, nor can you place it like this where it's just touching at the corners. You could place it in any of these 4 spots like this, and then after that, any tiles can be placed next to any other tile. So let's say we place it like this. Now again, placing that tile is one of your 3 normal actions in the turn, but remember this first player of the first game gets 4 actions. So let's say they place another tile and they place it just like this. Now when placing tiles like this, you might score points from matching coral. If you see that this coral here is the same color of this one, and because we matched at least 1 other tile that has this coral, you get a single point. And as you get points, you simply immediately update the scoreboard showing that you've scored. We'll talk some more things about the scoreboard a little later. The other possible action you can do is taking a tile from either the mission tiles or the picture tiles. Now when doing either of these, you can take any of the face-up ones, or you could take one from one of the stacks face down. Now if you take one that's face up, do not replace it now. So let's say for their third action, they took that, and again, normally your third action, you'd be done at the end of that, but in the first turn of the game only, this player gets 4 actions. So let's say for their fourth action, they do this. Now look at this. They match this coral to this one, that's a point. They match this one to this one, that's another point. They'd score 2 more points. Now at this point it'd be the end of their turn, but keep in mind again, you usually only get 3 actions throughout the entire game on each turn. Now at the end of your turn, you're going to check and make sure that you do not have more than 5 tiles of either the picture tiles or the mission tiles in front of you. In this case, we don't have any because we've used all the tiles that are in front of us, but you discard down to 5 of each if you have those. Now, at the beginning of a player's turn, the first thing they do is refill the display, and you do so if there's not enough tiles. If there aren't 2 face-up mission tiles, you'll refill that. In this case, there are 2, so we don't do anything. If there are not 3 face-up picture tiles, you refill that up to 3. Well, there's 1 empty space, so we would refill that with the tile just like that. And now this player is going to take 3 actions. Remember, either adding one of the picture tiles to the game map or taking either a picture or mission tile. These can be done repetitively or in any order as long as you only are taking 3 actions. Now earlier we showed you some corner matching of the coral, which is actually known as population. Now here I'm going to show you stability, which is completing a coral. Let's say this player did this. This matches 2 of these, but you only get 1 point for matching this to 1 or more. So this alone, just by placing this one is going to get 1 point. This one's going to get 1 point because it's matching this. But because you completed this coral, it's known as stability, and you'll get 3 additional points. So this player gets 3 for completing it, 1 for matching this one, and 1 for matching this one. So for a total of 5 points with that 1 placement. Instead of that, let's say they place this one. You'll notice that this coral, it looks like a rainbow. It has all the colors because that's known as the Joker. And in this case, they matched with the Joker and they completed it, and they matched here and here. And with the Joker, it's known as adaptation. Now when using the Joker, you'll still score a point for matching like this. We'll get 1 point for matching here, 1 point for matching here, 1 point for matching here, but instead of getting 3 for finishing it, because we used the Joker, you get 1 instead. So here we'll get 1, 2, 3, and 4. So a total of 4 points. And when completing a coral with a Joker, only 1 Joker can be used to get the additional point for completing that coral. Now let's say a player played this. Now, this player will still get 1 point because it is touching the Joker there, but this here is known as dead coral. It's known as disturbance. It's sort of this whitish grayish color there. Now, this will not get any points for touching this dead coral. In fact, dead coral will never score you points for connecting to any other color of type of coral. For example, even if you place this tile, this dead coral will not even score you for putting that Joker there. However, it will score you a point if you're connecting to another dead coral. However, if it looked like this and a player plays this, this player will get 1 point for matching this dead coral to at least one other, but you do not get any extra points for completing a dead coral like that. And again, in this case, you would not get a point for this because it's dead coral touching something else that's other than dead coral, but they would get 1 point for touching this Joker to here. So far, we've been showing you gaining points by matching coral. The other main way to get points is by completing missions. And remember, one of the actions you can take is taking a face down mission or a face up mission. Now, mission cards come in different types. You place them in front of you face up as always, but I've moved it closer to the board just so we can see how this works. Now, different types meaning each of these tiles, some of them are from different types, and the types are the amount of creatures you see on there. So we see a single here, we see 3 here, we see 4 here. It doesn't matter which ones are there, it's just the number of creatures is the type of the tile, 1, 2, 3, or 4. The missions have the same thing. This is a type where they have 4 of them, and it's showing it like this in a straight line. Now these can be done horizontally, vertically, things like that, and some of the other ones that are in different shapes can also be done in a flipped and or mirrored type as well. This would be of type 2, because there's 2 creatures on here. Now I've zoomed over here because we're starting to build the map over like this because the player is trying to complete this mission. Now as we have seen here, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is a type of 4. We have 4 of them here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If this player had this mission, they're going to try to complete it. However, you can only complete a mission if A, the tiles face up in front of you already, and you place a tile that makes this happen. So if we did not place any of these tiles, but we had this in front of us, we could not complete a mission. We'd have to actually add to it. So in this case, we would need to add to this like this, because now there's actually 5, but we've placed it where we have at least 4 in a straight line. We can complete a mission. Now, completing a mission does not count as an action. Placing the tile did. And by the way, like we learned earlier, we have a wild coral and a wild coral. We actually get a point and a point, so 2 points for that. And without spending any more actions, we get to complete this mission because it's face up in front of us. Now, this type of doing is like perfect. We're using all the same type. We're using the type that's on the mission, and this is known as colonization. Now, by default, you're gonna get 7 points for completing a mission. However, let's say we didn't have this tile. Maybe we had a solitary creature. Solitary creatures are essentially sort of a wild as you're doing the mission. So I place this here, and now I've placed the tile, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is not the same type, but think of those solo creatures as sort of a wild that we're still able to complete this. Now again, by default, you get 7 points, but for each solo creature that you use, you subtract 3. So in this case, I place this here, normally 7 minus 3, so I get 4 points. And also if it looked like this and I placed this tile, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, because these ones have 4, these ones have 4, this is this, these are wild, so we have 4 in a row. So normally I would get 7 points, minus 3, I just get 1 point for that. Of course, I would have gotten some points for matching the coral wild ones as well. Now another way you can complete missions, instead of doing all the same type, is they could be all different types. And again, in this case, 4 in a row, horizontal or vertical. So let's say we have this and I place this tile. Well, we already know I'm getting a point for matching that coral there, but look at this. This is a type 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures. This one's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's 1. And this one's 3. All of those are different types because they have a different amount of creatures on there. And there's 4 in a row. And I placed this tile, so I could score this. In this case, I would score that mission. Now keep in mind the default is 7 points, but because a solitary creature was used, it's minus 3, and so that is going to be 4 points. Now using all the same type we called colonization, using all different types is called coexistence. Now let's show you the last type of way that you can complete a mission. Now let's say we wanted to complete this mission. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a type 5. Now let's say I place one like this. Well, we know I'm going to get a point for matching that coral. But look at this. This is a type 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go up to here. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the same type that matches our mission. And the 4 corners of either a square or a rectangle all match that type. This is known as migration. And this is another way that you could score. In this case, we would get the 7 points. Now, if this were here instead, we still have it with the 4 corners because this is being used as sort of a wild there, the solitary creature, but we'd get minus 3 for that. So it would be 7 minus 3, we'd get 4 points. Now, what do you do after you complete a mission and you get the points for them? Well, it depends on the way that you completed the mission. If you completed a mission by using all of the same type, meaning it all in a row like this, or in that rectangle or square migration that I showed you, if you're using all the exact same type, even if you use some of the solitary wilds, you're going to place it face down next to the side of the game map. If you used coexistence, meaning you used all different types as we showed you earlier, when you place this next to the game map, just so everyone can see it, you leave it face up. Because each type of mission can only be done once if you're using the different types. For example, if we did and this was face up, this just shows everyone that no one else can do 4 in a row like that with different types. If someone did it with this one, no one else can do 4 in a row of different types in diagonal form like this. It's just to show you because each one of those can only be done once because it's a little easier to do when you're using different types. So let's summarize your turns again. At the beginning of your turn, if there's not 3 picture tiles out, you'll draw them face up so there's 3. If there's not 2 missions, you'll draw those up so that there's 2 of them there. Then you're going to take 3 actions, and those actions are either placing a game tile that you already have onto the map, or taking either a mission or a picture tile from face up or face down. 3 actions, you can do them in any order. Now, as you get to certain spots, like the 10 and the 20, you'll see gems, and when you get to that, you'll take your colored gem and place it in front of you. Then later on any of your turns, you can discard that gem out of the game to flip up either 2 picture tiles or 2 mission tiles. So let's say they flipped up 2 mission tiles. Now, after players start taking these, at the beginning of a player's turn, they wouldn't bring any more out because there's at least 2. There's still at least 2, but now at the beginning of someone's turn, they would bring out a new one to make sure that you have just 2. players will continue taking turns as normal until one player gets to the flag or further than the amount of players for 4, 3, or 2. When that happens, that player finishes their turn, then you play to the end of that round. And since the first player has this token, the player seated to their right will have the last turn of the game. If the player that first got here was that player sitting to the right of the first player, at the end of their turn, the game ends and no one else would get any more turns. At the end of the game, each player is going to gain a point for every gem that they did not discard and spend to bring out more tiles, but they're also going to lose 2 points for every unaccomplished mission in front of them. So this is -2 plus 1. This player will now move back 1 point on the score track. And at that point, whoever has the most points is the winner. Well, I hope this helped you dive right into Eco Coral Reef faster than you normally would if you had to read the rulebook yourself. Now, if you have further questions about the rules, I've placed a link below me in the description of this video, and that's the best place to ask them since I'll be notified, but so will Unique Games.